I didn't move to the Emerald Coast just for the beaches, and that might surprise you, but there are 5 reasons why my husband and I chose to live here, and it might just take you off guard. So if you're thinking about moving to the Emerald Coast and you're thinking, why do people live here? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you the 5 reasons why my husband and I chose to live here. And if you know me at all, the last reason is going to shock you. So first, I have to clarify that my husband and I didn't exactly choose to move to the Panhandle. He was active duty Air Force when we moved here, and he had orders, so we had to move here. Now, we chose to stay here, so the reasons why I'm gonna go over in this video, but at the time we had, we knew that he was gonna retire within 3 years of getting here, so our options at the time that we were thinking of was either to stay in Navarre or move to Iowa, where he's from and where his family had lived or is living, and then Alpharetta, Georgia, because there was a job opportunity there, and then at the time I had a couple family members that lived there as well. So those were kind of our 3 options when we moved here, when we were thinking about either if we stay here or move somewhere after he retired. So we're gonna get all up into it, and spoiler alert, we did choose to stay here, so in case you haven't figured that out, but let's just get into it. All right, so number 1 reason, well, not the number 1 reason, but one of the reasons why we chose to stay is that it's military friendly. Anytime that you live near a base or near a military installation, it's gonna be typically more military friendly, meaning restaurants and shops give military discounts. If you've got military kiddos and they go to school, they're not gonna be the only new kid there. And especially if they're, have parents that go through deployments, they're not the only one dealing with those things. So for us, and also like just when you're around when you're in military towns, the patriotism, and especially during 4th of July, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, like it just all is on display, and to me, it's great. So that is one of the big reasons we chose to stay here, along with Florida has a lot of military and veteran benefits. So one of the biggest ones is that if you're active duty and you deploy, when you come back home and you give the county your orders, as long as your home is homestead, you get free taxes. They basically take it off your next year's taxes, but the time that you're gone, they take that as like a deduction off your next year's taxes, which is huge. Another one is if you are 100% VA disabled, you only have to pay your ad valorem taxes, so your emergency services taxes. So for us, we only pay, it's like $147 a year for taxes because it's just our ad valorem taxes. And that's a huge, that's like a $3,000 to $4,000 savings for us a year. So there's a lot of benefits military-wise to stay here over moving to Iowa and Georgia. So that's one of the reasons that we chose to stay here. Okay, number 2 is affordability. Now I'm gonna cheat and look at my notes because I have a whole bunch of numbers and I'm really bad at remembering numbers. But basically what I did was I compared groceries, gas, and housing, and then I did volleyball because all my kids play volleyball. So I did what that costs in those 3 areas and kind of did it side by side. So again, I'm gonna cheat and look at my notes so that I don't mess the numbers up, but let's get into it. So for groceries, what I did was I went on walmart.com, I put bread, bananas, milk, eggs, a pound of ground beef, butter, lunch meat, applesauce, and Cliff Bars. I don't know why I chose Cliff Bars, but I did. Put them into a cart, and I did the same brand for all 3 areas. So I did Navarre, Alpharetta, Georgia, and Des Moines, Iowa. For Navarre, it totaled to $37.91. And in Florida, we don't, at least in our county, I don't know if it's county specific or just Florida, but I should know that, but I don't. Anyway, there's no tax on food, so it was $37.91. In Des Moines, it was $37.41, so pretty darn close. And then in Alpharetta, Georgia, it was $38.38. So not too big of a difference. Again, I kept everything the same. I did not change my cart. I just changed the zip code that I was picking it up in. So everything was all the same. So not too bad. For volleyball, this is where it gets a little shocking. In our area, the rough estimate on average for club fees for, at least for a girl, is $3,500. In West Des Moines, I couldn't find a ton of information. The one I did find was $2,800. And talking with one of my sister-in-laws, she said that's pretty accurate. So it's a little bit cheaper there. And then in Alpharetta, $6,900, so almost double. So that's a little bit, that hurt our pocketbooks. We've got 3 kids that play. Gas, so I used today's prices. Navarre is $3.64 a gallon, and I did the cheapest one without having to have like a club membership of some kind. In Des Moines, it's $3.35, and Alpharetta is $3.77. So a pretty big difference there. And then housing, so a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. I did not specify, I did at least a 2-car garage. I didn't specify a pool or anything like that because in Iowa, you're just not gonna get a pool. So I just did 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,500 square feet with at least a 2-car garage. In Navarre, I actually did what our house is. So $550,000 to $600,000. If we were to buy this house over again. We got lucky and bought it before COVID, so we didn't pay that much. But anyway, in Des Moines, to buy a similar house to what we have now, we're looking at $600,000 to $800,000. Now it's Des Moines, not in the area, like the surrounding area. So I mean, we could probably get a little bit lower than that, but apples for apples, $600,000 to $800,000. And Alpharetta, let me tell you, they are a lot more expensive. So we're looking at $800,000 all the way up over $1 million. Again, for similar home of what we're used to, basically. So significant price jump there. So all in all, Georgia was a lot more expensive. Now, if we are really comparing apples to apples, he would have been making a lot more up there. I don't know about Iowa, but for Alpharetta, his income would have been, matching that lifestyle a little bit more, but still that's not what I was looking at. I was just looking at cost of living type things. So Georgia topped everything all out. Navarre and Des Moines were pretty much hand in hand in pricing. And when I did this I did the same video a couple years ago, and Navarre was lower on everything, not by much, but still on everything. But the point that all of this comes to, the point that a lot of people don't think about, Florida doesn't have income tax, so we win there. And then again, our property taxes are lower as well, even if you don't put in obviously ours are next to nothing, but even if you don't put any of those military benefits in there, our property taxes are significantly lower than Iowa and Georgia. Kind of the whole rest of the country for the most part, but at least those 2 areas, we're saving a lot just in property taxes. So that was the other reason why we chose Navarre. All right, so I am almost halfway through. I would love to hear if you chose to live here or if you are thinking about moving down here. What are your reasons? Because everybody's different. I get people moving down here from New York and they just say, I want to be done with the snow. I get people moving from, like Wyoming and Utah, and they're like, I want water instead of land, whatever. So I love to hear your reason why. Drop it in the comments below. All right, number 3, the beach. I mean, come on, I don't really need to explain this. It's beautiful. Yes, it is a reason. It's not the reason, but it is a reason that we stayed here. Driving every day, even just to take my kids to school, I can look south and I see beautiful water. Going to the beach whenever we want to. The sand is white and fine and doesn't hurt your feet when you walk on it. The water is beautiful. I mean, so I'm not going to keep gushing on about the beach, but it's obviously it's a reason why. All right, number 4 is a variety of people, but not too many people. So I'm from the Chicago suburbs. I grew up there in my childhood. I love meeting new people. I love experiencing different cultures. My husband is an introvert. He likes experiencing the cultures and the food and all that stuff, but he doesn't want to people. So this area was a great compromise for us because we still get the diverse population. It's not as diverse as a bigger metropolitan area, but because we have so much military here that's coming from all over the country, we still get a lot of different things. We get a bunch of different kinds of food here as well. And like I said, the different cultures, it's not as much, but it is still mixed up, if you will. But we still have that small town community feel. So it is not too people-y for my introverts. So for us, it was a nice little compromise of both of those things. All right, so before I get to my last reason, which is the shocking reason, and like I said, some of you that may know me will be surprised, but I am Kristen Weller. I am your local real estate agent here on the Emerald Coast, and if you are looking to move down here, I would love to help you out. All of my information is going to be popping up here on the screen. Reach out to me however you see fit. Call, text, email, find me on my socials, DM me there. Whatever is comfortable for you, I'd love to help you out. All right, here it is. So number 5 is the weather. Yes, the friends that know me are gonna be like, what are you talking about right now? Because I hate heat. And the older I get, the more of a baby I am when I get hot and sweaty, because I don't like to sweat either. So when I say weather, I'm grouping everything, both the climate and natural disasters. So yes, I hate heat, but I'm not missing snow. Like, I miss an occasional snow, but I'm not missing the fact that if I step outside of my house for 3 months out of the year, I might bust a hip on ice. Like, I don't miss that. I don't miss having to shovel my car out of a driveway, or, constantly having to have a scraper in my car, or trying to break into my car that's iced over. Like, I don't miss that. I do miss the fall. But we get two falls. We get fake fall and we get real fall. So sometimes in September, it'll get a little cool and some of the trees will get faked out and they'll change colors, and then it'll get hot again and then those leaves will fall. But then in real fall, which typically happens like late November, early December, it happens again for the ones that weren't faked out. So it's kind of fun. We get two falls. And then we do get winter. It happens for like a week in February, except in 2025 when we got 7 inches of snow. But, for the most part, like, I do miss some of those seasons, but we still get a really great spring. We get obviously summer, but we do get a little bit of a fall. So the part that I don't miss about the Midwest, I don't have to worry about here. So for me, weather was a big factor. And if you're coming from the Midwest, we have tornadoes and those things pop out of nowhere. Like, yes, we know it might be a day that those conditions might be good for tornadoes, but you never know when they're coming, how big they are, how destructive they are. I lived in California. Earthquakes come out of freaking nowhere, and those things are creepy. I worked in Oakland in a high-rise building, and it was like my second week of work, and I was just like sitting there doing my job, and I just felt dizzy. I'm looking around, and like all of my coworkers are from California. They're used to this stuff, and they're all staring at me. I'm like, what just happened? And they were all like, we were waiting for you to feel it. I'm like, this is weird. And I'm looking out the window, and everything's moving. It was creepy as heck. I don't miss that. Like, I went through 3, and they thankfully weren't bad, but it's creepy. And anyway, I will take a hurricane. I don't want anything to happen, but I will take a hurricane over those other ones any day of the week, because you get so much time. You get weeks that you know that it's coming to prepare and to figure out what you're going to do. Yes, they're still very destructive, and yes, they can demolish your house and leave you with nothing. However, you don't really have to worry about your safety because you've got so much time that you can get out. Now, obviously things can happen and they might move and shift last minute. I get that. But for the most part, you've got time to prepare. So I would take a hurricane area over, like a hurricane threatened area over a tornado area or an earthquake area any day of the week. So weather was kind of one of those things that it almost made me not want to live here. But at the same time, at the end of the day, all those other factors just counterbalanced everything. And like I said, we've been here for 9 years now. And it's been great for our family. It's been great for my husband and I. We love it here. But I was just joking with my husband. We've been in this house for 5.5 years. And I've got that itch because we've moved so much. Me as a kid with my family, with my mom and dad and brother and sister, but then also as a married couple in the military. Our next move will still be in Navarre. I just might try to get us on the water somewhere. So there you have it. Those are all my 5 reasons why my husband and I chose to stay in Navarre. It's a great place for us as a family, and I would love it if I could help you find your perfect place, whether it's here in Navarre or deciding whether or not it fits your needs. So I am Kristen Weller. Again, I'm your real estate agent here in Navarre. And real estate doesn't have to be stressful. I help my clients through every step of the process, go through it all so that it is not overwhelming. And hopefully we have a little fun along the way. So until next time, see you guys then.